Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Janice.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning? Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning.
What a sad day this morning. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We're beginning what's trending on a sad note. Today, the Arise News family mourns the tragic loss of our beloved colleague, news anchor, reporter, and producer, Somtochukwu Christelle Maduagwu, affectionately known as Somi, who was taken away from us far too soon at the age of 29.
Hello to our viewers in the US and around the world. I am Somi Maduagwu, coming to you from Nigeria's capital, Abuja.
Born on September 26, 1995, Somi tragically passed away in the early hours of Monday, September 29, 2025, following an armed robbery incident at her residence in Katampe area of Abuja. The Nigerian police are currently investigating this heartbreaking crime. Somi was not just a cherished member of the Arise family. She was a vibrant voice that engaged and connected with viewers across the nation. Her presence on our screens brought warmth, professionalism, and authenticity that resonated with audiences. But beyond the airways, beyond the cameras, and the studio lights, Somi was a trained lawyer, a dedicated professional, a supportive colleague, and a beauty queen. In September 2023, Somi represented Nigeria at the 40th Miss Tourism World in China. Ahead of the pageant, she spoke exclusively with Arise News about her aspiration to become a politician.
By birth, I don't have an option about the kind of woman that I want to be. I'm the first daughter of my parents, so right out of the womb, I'm a born leader, and so that's kind of at the top of my mind in any decision that I'm making. On a bigger picture, I want to be a politician. Like you mentioned, I'm from Anambra State, I'm from Anambra Central, and I'm very interested in politics. I'm very interested in impacting my state and Nigeria in general. And I moved to London at the end of my National Youth Service program, you know, like everyone does, just jackpot, trying to make some money. And I just felt very unfulfilled. I was making more money than I ever would in Nigeria, but I just felt very unfulfilled. So the kind of woman I want to be is definitely having positive impact in Nigeria. She's definitely taking up space. She's definitely not just talking about increasing female participation in politics. She's actually doing something to make that happen. And she's graceful, she's feminine, she's gorgeous, and she's fashionable.
What a beautiful soul. At just 29 years old, Somi had already made an indelible mark impacting society, but she had so much more to give, so much more stories to tell, and so many more lives to touch. Today, we extend our deepest condolences to Somi's parents, siblings, extended family, friends, and loved ones during this incredibly difficult time. Her voice may now be silent, but her spirit, passion, and legacy will endure as part of our collective memory here at Arise News. We remain in shock and call for a speedy investigation, apprehension, and prosecution of those responsible for this senseless crime. As the Arise News family says goodbye to Somi, we honor her memory by continuing the work she loved and by demanding justice for this tragic loss. Rest in peace, Somi. Your legacy lives on in every broadcast, every story, and every heart you touched. Tributes have been pouring in. I'd like for you to help me read this.
All right, so the Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, on Monday expressed deep sorrow over the tragic death of Somtochukwu, describing her death as a painful and devastating loss, not only to her family and colleagues, but also to the entire media industry and all those whose lives she touched. She wrote, "Such a bright candle has been blown out in her prime. Nigeria has lost a young woman of talent, courage, and promise. On behalf of the Ministry of Women Affairs, I extend our heartfelt condolences to her family, colleagues, and the entire Rise News family. May her gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Iman Suleiman Ibrahim."
Well, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, described Somi's death as regrettable and a grievous loss. In a letter of condolence addressed to the chairman of the Arise News channel, Chief Nduka Obaegbena, Idris wrote, "I write to convey our deepest condolences to you and the entire Arise News family on the shocking and untimely death of your esteemed anchor, Ms. Somtochukwu Christelle Maduagwu, who by every account was a vibrant and a dedicated news anchor, consummate lawyer, and a model of professionalism whose work resonated with audiences across Nigeria and beyond. Ms. Somtochukwu's tragic death is a grievous loss, not only to the Arise News family, but to the Nigerian media fraternity, and indeed, the nation." More tributes poured in. The governor of Enugu State wrote, "I received with shock and a deep sense of loss the news of Somtochukwu's tragic death. This is highly condemnable. It is reprehensible and cowardly. At 29, she had already established herself in the nation's media space. She was a consummate professional and lit millions of screens with her superb delivery. Indeed, a shining light has been extinguished too soon. A budding superstar has been cut down. And I call on the security agencies to do everything within their powers to track down her killers and bring them to book." The governor of Kaduna State also sent his condolence. He wrote to Prince Nduka Obaegbena, chairman of Arise News and This Day Group, and the entire management and staff, "I extend my deepest condolences. May you find strength in knowing that Somi's legacy of excellence and integrity endures to her grieving parents, siblings, and loved ones. No parent should bury their child. My thoughts and prayers are with you. May you be comforted by her beautiful memories and indelible mark she left on all who knew her." More tributes. Ayo, can you help me with this?
Yes, we have one from the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, who wrote, "On behalf of the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development, my family and myself, we offer our sincere condolences to the families of Somtochukwu Christelle Maduagwu and the management and staff of Arise News Channel for this tragic loss. May God Almighty comfort you all at this difficult time."
FCT Police Command also described the incident as a cruel and senseless act. The Commissioner of Police, Ajao Adewale, assured the FCT Command remains fully committed to ensuring that justice is served and ordered a discreet and comprehensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident. Well, in one of her last tweets back in August, Somi wrote on X, "I pray from the depth of my heart that Nigeria never happens to me or anyone I care about." Dr. Bati, this tweet has since garnered over 1 million views. When I heard the story yesterday, my heart broke because, like she stated, Nigeria happened to her. I reached out to our correspondent in Abuja, who detailed the circumstances surrounding her death. She jumped down from her home when she heard about 14 armed robbers came to her home. And she did not die on the spot, Dr. Bati. She went to the hospital and she was rejected. And I'll tell you the name of that hospital. If you can continue with your thoughts, I'll bring out the name of that hospital, because this really is a tragic, tragic incident. Somi's life could have been saved, but the hospital rejected her. Dr. Bati, go ahead. Let me get the hospital.
Okay, this is heartbreaking, as you have said. This is sad. This is horrific. That lives will be lost in a country where there is a government and where the responsibility of government is to save lives and property. And yet, on a daily basis, we keep hearing these stories about Nigeria happening to persons. If people are not killed due to bandits attacks, insurgents attacks, terrorist attacks, they are killed even by circumstances of just being Nigerian. And that's why repeatedly we have said on this table that Nigeria happens to people. When Nigeria happens to you, we are left sitting here and paying condolences, expressing our regrets, condolences to families, to persons involved. This one has struck home here, and that's why we are all in black, mourning our colleague. It's very sad, it's very unfortunate, but it should be a subtle reminder that the Nigerian government still has a huge task to ensure that every Nigerian can feel safe in this environment. Anybody who comes into this territory called Nigeria can sleep at home. How can somebody be in a home and then armed robbers will go there? We used to say that armed robbery had been eliminated by 419, by petty crimes, by e-fraud, but to see that armed robbers are still actively at work and that Nigeria is returning to the days of Anini and fallen on shore is a very sad development indeed. And I think that President Tinubu should not just take this seriously. He should say, in this particular case, that the authorities, the agencies, should carry out investigations and ensure justice for Somi. Not because she's one of us, but because every Nigerian life matters.
Yes.
Whether you are a journalist or you are a cleaner, whoever you are, you have the right to the dignity of life. You have the right to life. And it's the job of government to make sure that we are all safe. We are all saddened and we commiserate with the family, but a life of so much promise, of so much hope, a beauty queen robbed of the promise of the future. The story is about Nigeria, and it's an unfortunate story.
She was taken to
Second,
the Maitama General Hospital.
The story you raised about the hospital.
Yes, it's called the Maitama General Hospital.
Maitama General Hospital. Now, there have been various versions. There are some people who have said, oh, even the security guard died. Why are we just talking about Arise and Co? No, whether it's the security guard or it's Arise family, nobody should die needlessly. Nigeria should not happen to anybody negatively. And then we make the point, we reiterate it, that hospitals, midwives, nurses, doctors, everybody working within that medical space, their primary responsibility is to save lives, beyond even the call of duty. Right. And I think part of the investigation should include the behavior, the attitude, the response of the medical personnel at that Maitama General Hospital. Is there a case of negligence? Could lives have been saved if they responded more professionally? These are questions that should be raised. Number 3, the investigators, the security agencies, should not rule out any option. All of us have said, oh, the initial report we were given is that this was an armed robbery incident. Could there be other reasons behind this matter? Could this be an assassination? Could this be a case of occupational hazard? But we are saddened because there's no remediation. Life is lost. Hope has been destroyed. And we are all here mourning as a family.
Absolutely. Life is lost. Ayo, Ferdinand Duohans, the correspondent I reached out, who's done a beautiful report on Somi as well. He said that, you know, the security guard, which you also mentioned, and alongside Somi were wheeled. They were not in a stretcher. They were wheeled into the hospital, and they weren't given any treatment. because of lack of identification. And by the time the person who had the identification came by to the hospital, Somi was already taken to the morgue without any sort of communication.
Very, very heavy morning. It's been difficult for a number of people to even get through their jobs this morning as a result of the very sad story, sad incident that happened in Abuja. This apartment or this block of flats where Somi lived is in Katampe, which is an affluent area in Abuja, close to Maitama and these areas, and meant to be relatively safe. And as you said, Dr. Abati, what we'd assumed was that the issue of armed robbery, killings like this, are things of the past that we don't see again in the modern Nigeria of today. But now we are seeing resurrection of old things that ought to have passed away. And we see the cost of this in terms of the human life that has been cut short in her prime. Now, talking about the healthcare service, so security failed Somi. Nigeria happened to her. And Barnabas, by the way, who was the security guard and is said to have a young family and a child. So that's another young person cut off in their prime. They were taken after the armed robbers came. By the way, Oji, the armed robbers came to this building, block of flats, over 10 of them, numbering 15. It shows that the temerity that they had the audacity, even though they were not afraid of the police, that 15 of them stormed a block of flats and rained terror for a considerable amount of time, and security officials, the police did not come at any point during the operation. That speaks a lot to the breakdown of security in the state capital, in the capital of Nigeria. Then beyond that, the security architecture failed. The healthcare system, which is supposed to be an opportunity for people in an emergency, such as Somi found herself, to receive urgent care. In other climes, in other places where healthcare works, this is where they would be urgently attended to. In the past, we used to have situations whereby if you had a gunshot wound or accident victim, they would ask for certain things because the hospital wanted to indemnify themselves from any police issue. But this has been done away with. There's a law to remove that so that anyone who was injured by any reason whatsoever would first of all receive care and other things would follow. The hospital failed Somi in this regard. And I'm calling on the Mandate Secretary for Health and Environmental Science in the FCT, Dr. Dolapo Fashawe, to look into this matter, especially with hospitals. It was on this same table we discussed the hospital in Abuja who couldn't very well take care of a pregnant woman. So we have incidents like this whereby there's negligence, gross negligence that costs human life. Somi was a promising star, like you've mentioned. Somi was not just a TV presenter anchor, she was a lawyer. She stood up for the rights of women. We talked about how she was, very instrumental to pushing forward the reserve bill to allow more women in the National Assembly. Somi was also entrepreneurial. If you read, I read one of her interviews yesterday where she talked about the influence her parents had on her, Mr. and Mrs. Maduagwu, who gave her wings to fly and encouraged her to pursue her dreams. Her younger ones, Osi and Divine, her brother and sister, who are now left without their Ada in the person of Somi Maduagwu. It's a very sad situation. No parent, like one of the people who had sent in their condolences, ought to face burying their child. It is sad, and too many parents in Nigeria have had to go through this sad loss because of the failing of government and the incompetencies of what we should have as government infrastructure. So I hope that the legacy, or at least the learning from this death, one too many, would be that we would look into security in Nigeria, we'll look into the health system in Nigeria, and ensure that we do not fail our young ones again.
Rufai.
A very sad day for us, again, especially in the Arise family. It is sad to say in everything we give thanks, because Somi's name, Somtochukwu, means follow me to praise God. Even if we don't have a reason to give thanks, because we are hurt, our hearts broken, a life cut short. But we thank God for the life of Somi. We thank God that she was able to impact in a short time. We thank God she was able to elevate. We thank God that her star did shine. And we thank God for the life she led. But we also live in a country where, like Thomas Hobbes wrote about in his book, when he was talking about the Leviathan, that it will be a time that society becomes brutish, becomes hellish, and has no respect for life.
And life is short.
And life is short. And that's exactly the society we live. That society Thomas Hobbes described. I mean, how do you take somebody to a hospital and they're being treated? But we would like an investigation into the hospital. Also, we would like FCCPC, the competition watchdog and the consumer advocacy watchdog, to investigate the hospital like you've mentioned. But also we heard that a response call was made to the police and they didn't respond on time. So we also like the investigation to come out there. And apart from the police investigation, we also want an independent investigation to be set up to ask questions. Thirdly, I'll speak to the government now. We appreciate all your condolence messages. We appreciate you standing with us at a time like this. But this shouldn't have happened. And that's what we talk about. And that's why we're constantly at loggerheads with you guys on the other side. Because what we talk about here every time is to better our country. We see our country with so much potential. We know it can be a whole lot better if you guys do a lot better on your side. So this is the time to remind you of the oath you swore to the citizenry. It's not only in the good times, but also in the bad times. Let the death of Somi mark a turning point across many sectors in this country. That's the best way to honor Somi's memory. So that Nigeria will not happen to people again, as Somi prayed fervently. Somi's fervent prayer point was, may Nigeria not happen to me and those that are close to me. In Somi's case, Nigeria happened to Somi, Nigeria happened to Barnabas, and others involved. We're mourning this morning because the Nigeria we want has not happened yet.
All right. Like I said, Somi is from Anambra State. The Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, has expressed profound sadness and deep sense of loss over the heartbreaking news of the tragic death of Somtochukwu, a distinguished daughter of Anambra State. The Governor, on behalf of the government and the entire people of Anambra State, in his statement, extended his most sincere condolences to Somi's parents, siblings, extended family members, friends, colleagues at Arise News Channel, and all who knew and loved her. He also called on the Nigerian police force to conduct a thorough, swift, and transparent investigation into this heinous crime and ensure that the perpetrators are apprehended and brought to justice expeditiously. Somi, you will be missed. May your gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. All right, I just want to take a breath. Shall we just observe a moment of silence for Somi? May your soul rest in peace, Somtochukwu. Now let's take this troubling development out of Kogi State. As a newly called-to-bar lawyer and her sister have been abducted by gunmen demanding a substantial ransom, Barrister Onyesom Peace Udoka was kidnapped alongside her sister, Gift Onyesom, around Lokoja on Friday, September 26th, just 4 days after her call-to-bar ceremony in Abuja. The young lawyer, who graduated from Ambrose Ali University and completed her law school training at the Enugu campus, was reportedly traveling from Abuja to Benin City when the incident occurred. Her abductors are said to be demanding 40 million naira for the release of both victims. The Nigerian Bar Association has called on the federal government and security agencies to swiftly secure the release of its member, Onyesom Peace Udoka, the NBA president, Afa Musigwe, described the incident as unacceptable and utterly condemnable, stressing that no family should be forced to endure such trauma. The NBA demanded the immediate and safe return of the victims and urged for a more coordinated and serious effort by the government to tackle the growing insecurity problems plaguing Nigeria highways. Ayo, this abduction adds a disturbing pattern of kidnappings across Nigeria's Middle Belt region especially. This incident exposes the dangerous vulnerability of interstate travelers in Nigeria, particularly along routes connecting Abuja to southern states. This young woman, she's from Ukwane. I got so many messages about her abduction. We have videos trending on social media. This young woman was just celebrated, and now she is in the hands of kidnappers. And the kidnappers are demanding 40 million naira for her release. Nigeria happened to this young woman and her sister again.
So the two stories that we've taken this morning already are an indictment on the security situation in Nigeria. And I think irrespective of the press releases or celebration by the government that they have done a lot when it comes to security, the news coming out from different quarters, whether it be in Abuja, Jos, Lagos here, or whether it be in Delta State, Enugu, all parts of Nigeria, it is an indication that security has failed so far under this administration. And that we've called a state of emergency for a number of things, whether it be food security and the likes. Security is still a big problem. What we are calling for by saying this is let Nigeria not fully happen to our dear Onyesom. We are hoping that, number one, ransom would not have to be paid, and that the Nigerian security operatives would actually do their job and rescue these two young talents. Hale and hearty and back to their parents. And just one final point, kidnapping has become very lucrative.
Yes.
That's why we see it happening, and with audacity, they call out sums that beggars believe. But it's because people are paying. And the Nigerian police just looks and says, if you can pay, pay. But I'm hoping that they will see an end to this, and this government can do what they were elected to do, secure lives and property of Nigerian people.
I've reached out to the Kogi State Police Command on behalf of Udoka, her family, and we're hoping for a speedy response as to, her whereabouts, and I hope that she comes out safe and sound. We'll head over to Kwara State now, where residents of Ajase Ipo and surrounding communities in the state staged a massive protest alleging that a recent surge in deadly attacks and bloodletting was orchestrated with the help of a mysterious helicopter. The protesters claim that a helicopter repeatedly cycled the area and dropped heavily armed men who subsequently carried out attacks, including lethal ambushes on local vigilante members. The community, some of whom were seen fleeing in viral videos, accused security operatives of both collusion and abandonment, noting that local vigilantes were suspiciously disarmed right before the attacks. A heartbreaking video showed the moment a woman cried out to the governor after her husband was killed.
Ìjọba Kwara àwọn DSS gbébọn fáwọn méjì aláwọn gbàbọn lọ́wọ́ àwọn ọdẹ Yorùbá. Wọ́n ti pọkọ mi o. Ọkọ mi bọ̀ wálé ni o. Ọkọ mi dékèrè ajé wọ́n fọ́ gíláàsì mọ́tò wọ́n pa àbúrò wọ́n pa ẹ̀gbọ́n. Wọ́n tún pọkọ àbúrò rẹ̀. Stéṣọ̀ òkè ọdẹ láwọ̀ ọkàn àwọn ọlọ́pàá gùn balẹ̀ kò sí tágbà àwọn ká. Aago méje àárọ̀ náà wáyé o. Aago méje àárọ̀. Ẹ rí báyìí.
This was so hard to watch. We know that the governor of Kwara State has asked for more military in the state. The residents suggest betrayal from security forces and are demanding an immediate, transparent investigation into the use of aerial insertion tactics by the assailants, the deployment of credible security assets, and the immediate rearming of their legitimate local security outfits. Unfortunately, we don't have much time, but I thought it was important to highlight the story coming out of Kwara State. This young woman lost her husband's brother, and we're seeing people from Kwara State leaving the state. We need more response. We need more security forces in Kwara State. I'm so sorry we had to end What's Trending on such a bad note. I'd like to thank you all for a great analysis, as always on What's Trending. And may your soul, Somi, continue to rest in peace. Beautiful woman. That's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.